Uh, our next speaker will be Attorney Hugo Peng. He was previously helped Falun Gong practitioners in China.
Thank all of you for your coming here, and thanks to Dr. Nie and other organizers. In November 2004, the Epoch Times published the 9 commentaries on the Communist Party. It summed up the numerous crimes committed by the Chinese Communist Party against the Chinese people, and revealed the evil nature of the Communist Party and its inevitable downfall. As a result, Chinese people have awakened, and it triggered the movement of withdrawing from the CCP and its affiliated organizations. In this context, in May 2015, Falun Gong practitioners in mainland China launched the movement of suing former Communist Party head Jiang Zemin with criminal charges. The act of bringing lawsuits against Jiang first started in August 2000, when Falun Gong practitioners Zhu Keming and Wang Jie delivered a petition to the Chinese Supreme Procuratorate and Supreme Court in Beijing. They sued then Chinese President Jiang Zemin, Secretary of the Central Committee Zheng Qinghong, and Secretary of Political and Legal Committee Luo Gan, for starting the persecution of Falun Gong, stating the persecution to be unconstitutional and illegal. It was known as mainland China's first case against Jiang. In the United States, in April 2003, Attorney Terry Marsh submitted a lawsuit against Jiang Zemin and the 610 office to United States Court, Northern District of Illinois. As of now, Falun Gong practitioners in over 30 countries and regions are suing Jiang Zemin and his followers for genocide, crimes against humanity, and crimes of torture. They brought both criminal and civil charges against him in courts around the world. This scale is so large that it is known as the 21st century's great international human rights lawsuit. In 5,000 years of human civilization, it is unprecedented for a leader of any country to be targeted in such a way. Lawsuits are once again being filed in mass against Jiang, and it has evolved into a tidal wave. From May 2015 to the present, new lawsuits are being filed against Jiang, but they are very different from those in the year 2000. First, the Supreme Procuratorate and the Supreme Court of China have a different attitude today. In the year 2000, the China Supreme Procuratorate and the Supreme Court of China did not accept the indictment. Starting in May 2015, they are accepting them with confirmed receipt. On November 17, 2015, mainland China Falun Gong practitioner Dai Fengzhen made a phone call to the Chinese Supreme Procuratorate and asked, "Can I sue Jiang Zemin?" The reply from Supreme Procuratorate was, "Filing a lawsuit or complaint is your right." Second, the number and scope of the complaints is different today. According to Minghui.org, statistics, starting from the end of May 2015 to now, there are more than 200,000 Falun Gong practitioners and their families who have filed a criminal indictment against Jiang Zemin at the Supreme Procuratorate and the Supreme Court. The complaints come from all parts of China. 34 provincial-level administrative regions, including 23 provinces, 5 autonomous regions, 4 municipalities, including Hong Kong and Macau. The complaints are from all sectors of Chinese society, industry, including judges, disciplinary officers, government officials, soldiers, police, university professors, lecturers, artists, engineers, doctors, blue-collar and white-collar workers, peasants, and people from other fields in China. So far, there are more than 100 million people around the world who have jointly filed complaints against Jiang Zemin. Take Washington, D.C., for example. There are 6,344 people who signed joint criminal complaint letters. Meanwhile, the global petition for joint criminal complaints against Jiang Zemin continues to grow. All the victims here today have submitted indictment letters against Jiang Zemin to the Supreme Procuratorate and the Supreme Court in mainland China. Most of them have received confirmation of delivery. Starting on July 1st, 2015, the National Security Bureau in Beijing illegally retained indictment letters. In some regions in mainland China, the 610 office and the State Security Office intercepted the letters. In some areas, police used the indictment letters to find Falun Gong practitioners filing complaints and then kidnapped them. Nevertheless, Falun Gong practitioners continue to make deliveries to the Chinese Supreme Procuratorate through legal methods such as postal mail and electronic networks. To the perpetrators and its supporters, the movement of suing Jiang is an act of Falun Gong practitioners and is our way to present, in a rational way, the truth and the facts of Falun Gong to the world through legal means. Suing Jiang seeks to bring Jiang to justice and facilitate the process of disintegrating the CCP. once legal proceedings of Su Yingjiang start, the truth of the persecution of Falun Gong will be revealed to the world. The name of Falun Gong will also be restored when the acts of Jiang's criminal faction harvesting organs from tens of thousands of live Falun Gong practitioners is exposed to the world. It may be the time that the CCP disintegrates. It might also be the deadline for the people in the world to choose which side they are on. The movement of Su Yingjiang has earned international support. Just now, the Congressman Ted Poe said, from what we know about Jiang, he needs to be in jail, not Falun Gong practitioners. We would like to ask the United States Congress to monitor and support the movement of Su Yingjiang and bring him to justice. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker, we're going to invite Dr. Wang Zhiyuan. He is the president of the World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong. Dr. Wang.
各位女士、先生们，大家好。我代表追查迫害法轮功国际组织来参加，怀着沉重而严肃的心情来参加这个聚会。今天是世界人权日65周年，我在这里向各位也向全世界宣布，经过追查国际2015年1月到11月调查，中共活摘法轮功学员器官的大屠杀仍然在继续着，没停止，反而增加。我下面请兰森女士帮我宣读我的讲稿，我给大家放一些证据。谢谢大家。
Just explain a little bit what he just says. I represent the World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong, WOIPFG, with a very sad and serious mood to come to this forum. Today is the International Human Rights Day for 65 years anniversary. I think I'm very sad to announce to everybody and to the world that according to our investigation, Chinese Communist Party has live organ harvesting Falun Gong practitioners today is still have large quantities. It's has not stopped yet, and also accelerate yet. Still accelerate. Now I just read his articles. Do not acquit the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, of its crimes against humanity. In 2006, when the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, mass organ harvesting network from living Falun Gong practitioners was exposed, the CCP publicly admitted it used the vital organs of death row inmates for transplant, which was originally a national secret. The CCP hyped it up, so the international community didn't pay attention to the harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners' organs. Falun Gong practitioners are not death row inmates. On December 3rd, 2014, at the conference of China Association of Human Organ procurement organizations held in Kunming City, Yunnan Province, former Vice Minister of Health Huang Jiefu announced that starting from January 1st, 2015, China would completely stop using organs from executed prisoners, and that organs would only be used from legitimate source solely through voluntary donation. This was an attempt to cover up the ongoing and escalating organ harvesting from Falun Gong practitioners who are not death row inmates or executed prisoners. According to an October 19, 2015 report in the China News newspaper, the chairman of the China Committee on Organ Donations and Transplantation, former Vice Minister of Health Huang Jiefu, said that starting from this year, the number of donated organs was at an all-time high. As of last October, over 2,000 citizens became donors, and more than 6,000 organs were donated. Huang also expects that, according to the current increasing trend, there would have been more than 2,500 citizen donors this year. The quantity of organs donated will break records to 10,000 for the first time. Over the past few years, there are about 8,000 on average. Number one, ending the use of death row organs and using donations from citizens is actually a trick orchestrated by the CCP. In fact, organ harvesting from living Falun Gong practitioners has not stopped but accelerated. In this newest report, the World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong believes that the Chinese Communist regime is continuing its campaign of forced organ harvesting for living Falun Gong practitioners. A series of telephone investigations were conducted during the period of January to November 2015, sampling 165 hospitals designated to perform organ transplants and some institute for voluntary organ donations. The report concludes that, first, China's official organ donation institutes claim that donors are very limited and successful matches are few and far between. Second, organ transplants are still being performed in large quantities with short wait times and abundant donors, which a random supply of voluntary donors that cannot be accounted for. Three, some surgeons have frankly acknowledged that the Chinese Communist Party campaign of organ harvesting from living Falun Gong practitioners is still ongoing, still following the orders of Jiang Zemin. Four, after June 2015, the practice of forced organ harvesting accelerated once again. Second, third, the CCP wants to find a way to use organs from death row inmates. On November 17, 2015, the New York Times Chinese network reported that China is still using organs from executed prisoners and has received the full support from policymakers. The World Medical Association, World Transplantation Society, and other international organizations have clearly expressed that the use of prisoner organs is against medical ethics standards, since prisoners have no way to freely express their will. On November 18, 2015, when faced with criticism, Huang Jiefu denied that the new organ transplant system in mainland China allows organs to be removed from executed prisoners, and argued that his previous statements were all on a philosophical level. He again declared that prisoners have the right to donate their organs. The international community needs to be on alert. The CCP is once again using a play on words to deceive the world of its ongoing crimes of genocide and forced organ harvesting. It is invasive. WOIPFG is a world organization to investigate the persecution of Falun Gong. Conclude, live organ harvesting from Falun Gong practitioners is a state crime. The persecution of Falun Gong is genocide and a crime against humanity. This offense is tantamount to crimes committed by the Nazi war criminals. All parties who's taken part in any way must bear the responsibility and be subject to moral and legal punishment, regardless of whether the involved party is a nation, organization, or individual. It is the responsibility of every moral, upright nation, organization, and individual to fully do their part to put a stop to these crimes against humanity committed by the Chinese Communist regime. WOIPFG remains as steadfast as ever to its mission to investigate the criminal conduct of all institutions, organizations, and individuals involved in the persecution of Falun Gong. To bring such investigations, no matter how long it takes, no matter how far and deep, we have to search to full closure, to exercise fundamental principles of humanity, and to restore and uphold justice in society. The second part, we like to play some samples from telephone investigation recordings. Okay, fine.
好，我现在放的第一个录音是中国郑州市人民医院肝移植科的陈永芬医生的录音调查录音。
Okay, the first one is on June 26, 2016. Dr. Chen Yunfeng from the Organ Transplant Department at Zhengzhou People's Hospital said that we can select a good quality and relatively young liver. He says we can select a good quality.
是我们本地的，质量都没问题。那我就是说可以挑一个好的、年轻一点的肝脏给你们。今天我们刚做了一台，今天我们是有一个16岁的，总共下来是700多克，不到800克，好肝，年轻很好。你说？
另外一个多少岁的？
另外一个是20多岁的。
你们一般超过40岁都不咋爱要了哈。
一般我们都不考，基本上我们不考虑。就是现在还有挑的余地，还有挑的余地，我估计以后。
Okay, what he said is on January 26, 2015, Dr. Chen Yongfen from the Organ Transplant Department at Zhengzhou People's Hospital said, we can select a good quality and a relatively young liver. We have plenty of donors. We can still select young and good ones. It is hard to say if there will be the case down the road.
北京正在筹备红十字会这个捐献这方面的工作是吧？对，还没有正式，没有正式的部门在做哈。那
刚才放这个录音是北京市红十字会器官捐献办公室。说他们的这个器官捐献的机构正在筹备，还没有开始。就是类似的录音，我们有22个在我们报告上，大家可以在网上看。
On December 6, 2015, a staff member on duty at the Red Cross chapter in Beijing said that organ donation office is still being set up and the donation have not started yet. For this kind of investigation, we have 20 seconds for others to listen on our report.
下面我放的是中共解放军307医院驻北京丰台的307医院的肾移植科的这个医生 联系人叫陈强，他的调查录音大家听一下，只是取了一个片段，因为考虑时间问题，大家在网上可以听详细情况。
比如说，像法轮功搞过，那是啊，03年的法轮功档案里边说的是啊。
知道吧？他们这些呢，前些年因为法轮功学员上访没报姓名的，他们偷偷关起来。
他这里面没留下姓名，他都留代号。他的像这些你不留姓名的，全部代号。我这个，
你这个东西呢，你怎么确定他是法轮功学员？
那怎么确定法轮功学员？到时候我们这边头上面有人会给你出现资料，知道吗？
哦。
他会出资料给你，这你放心。
哦。但还有一个问题，
我跟你说吧，我跟你说白了，我这边呢全部都是。我们这边也是通着关系，上面有上面的人，这东西它都是一条龙的，你知道吗？
对对对。
Okay, the kidney broker Chen Chang at the People's Liberation Army PLA number 307 hospital in the Fengtai district of Beijing emphasized that government officials, police, and the prison facilitate the trade of organs from Falun Gong practitioners like a supply chain, and they can also provide information that confirms that the organ donors are Falun Gong practitioners. All the recordings you can find out from the reports we have put on the website. Everybody can go up there and check the recordings. Thank you.
我最后再讲几句啊，就是迫害法轮功是群体灭绝罪、反人类罪，与纳粹战犯同罪。任何参与者必须承担法律责任或道义的审判，无论任何国家、组织或个人，都逃脱不了历史的审判。相反，全面追究中共迫害法轮功的罪恶，这是人类的一场保卫战。人类道德良知的保卫战，也是每一个国家、组织或个人的机遇和荣耀。最后，我再重申，我们追查国际将一如既往，在全球范围内彻底追查一切迫害法轮功的罪行以及相关的机构、组织或个人，无论天涯海角，无论时日长短，必将追查到底。直至每个罪犯绳之以法，这是我们对人类的承诺，我们绝不食言。谢谢大家。
Just to repeat one more time, he just want to make his conclusion that live organ harvesting from Falun Gong practitioners is a state crime. The persecution of Falun Gong is genocide and a crime against humanity. This offense is tantamount to crimes committed by the Nazi war criminals. All parties who have taken part in any way must bear the responsibilities and be subject to moral and legal punishment, regardless of whether the involved party is a nation, organization, or individual. It is the responsibility of every moral, upright nation, organization, and individual to fully do their part to put a stop to these crimes against humanity committed by the Chinese Communist regime. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wang. The last but not the least, we invite Professor Sun Ye, the chairman of Mechanical Engineering Department at the Catholic U of America. His topic will be the CCP crisis and coming disintegration. Let's welcome Dr. Ye.
Yeah, thank you. I was thinking to not to present today. However, the room is reserved by the Congressman Gus Bilirakis. He's coming. He's on the way to here to give us some encouraging remarks. So he's coming. So I have to present it. I will present only 10 slides. When I prepared this, I didn't know whether we have China experts to come on board. Thanks, Riggs and Joe, to join us, and Wei Jinsen. And later on, I realized I was not needed. Next slides. Okay, I have been in the United States for 35 years. I'm originally from Taiwan, but my parents from mainland China. So I pay attention to China and Taiwan and U.S. relations for many, many years. So I may not be an expert, but I'm a long-time watcher of mainland China, Taiwan, and U.S. relations. I want to share with you my observation of a few very interesting phenomena. I term that as a crisis for the coming Communist Party, whether they are have an uprising as a superpower in the world or is coming to collapse. That's my observation. This slide shows what happened in China today. Okay, the left lower cover, the left lower corner is yesterday's demonstrations. Okay, demonstrations in Hubei province, where the thousands of people fighting with the police to protest their because they want the businessmen want to establish the wastewater treatment waste treatment plants there, and the people villagers there they're against that. So that was yesterday pictures. Okay, involve just several thousands, close to 10,000 people fight against police. 2 villagers were killed by the police, and many police cars was turned upside down and burned. So it's still ongoing, the left corners. The upper right corner is the major protest of the school teachers, elementary school, middle school, and high school teacher about a year ago. And that, because they get so low salaries, they protest their wage. So it's come up with the protest from 7 provinces. From the middle part of China to the northern part of China, covers hundreds of thousands of teachers. They strike. They strike for their wages, and that's protest is ongoing for several months. The right upper corner is in October, just 2 months ago, when there's in the southern part of Guangdong province, there are people go against their building an incineration plant, Fenghualu incineration plant. Again, the fightings win or lose. Sometimes people were killed. Many are ended with blood. Sometimes police lose the game, and police bus and police cars were turned over, and the building was smashed down. The right lower corners is in the summer this year, in the city of Guangxi. Well, there's a diamond workers factory there, and the owners just hold up their salaries and their benefits, and the workers get together, thousands of them go against the owners, and the owners, the business owners team up with the armed police. So this kind of thing is called social unrest. How many of them? According to the public security minister, they say 5 years ago, they've been increased to 200,000. So I don't have data of the last years too, but it is about 600 protests, group conflicts every day at every corner of China. So there are about a little bit more than 2,000 counties in China. So probably it's 1 out of 4 counties in China has protests every day. Just turn around. Okay, and they say they only count those group conflicts more than 15 people involved. They call small group conflicts. We call it protest. But if there's more than 5,000, they call large-scale protest. And the large-scale protest involve more than 5,000 occurs 1 a day. 1 large-scale protest with people and the armed police each day. Then the communists, by weapons from the West, by the civilians, have dogs, tear gas, tanks, to knock down on people. They are militaries. They are like Rick's specialty. They are military with their rank, but they use weapons to crack down their people. And that's very unique in the world. Okay, soldiers fighting their own people. And so armed police become the largest units in China, and over the last 5 years, I read from the news that their expenses, their budgets, exceeds the PLA budgets, the defense budgets, and 5 years in a row, which actually means that their number one enemy is not U.S., as Rick says, it's Chinese people. Okay, next slide, please. That's the crisis one. Crisis two that mentioned about, that Tuidang Center mentioned about. There's a peaceful, massive awakening of conscience. People say no more. Okay, party's over. Party's over. No more crime, no more darkness. They want to be out. They cut the tie with the Communist Party and their affiliates. It started from a few hundreds until to have 10,000 to 100,000, about 100,000 a day, and this is a monthly rate. In the current years, every month there are more than 3 million courageous Chinese people to cut their tie with communist affiliations. Right now, this accumulates to 221 millions to date. Then in the summer of 2013, there were a group of more than 5,000 party members in Hunan province. They choose to quit the party together as a big group. Okay, a group resignations of the party in Hunan is more than 5,000 party members. And take the case of yesterday. Yesterday, December 9th, 2015, there were 91,665 resignations per day. On the average, it's about 64 people choose to cut the ties per minute. In these 3 hours of forums today, during our forum, we talk about China issue. There are 11,000 people courageously choose to leave the Communist Party. This is the second crisis. I can see next one. Then in the world, there's so many sightseeing places. There are 400 nice sightseeing places. You will see another scenery is on the corner of the same place in the Paris, Ivory Towers, New York, Los Angeles, in Taiwan, in Washington, D.C., in front of the Aerospace Museum. Like in the upper right corners, it's Tuidang as volunteer sites in Flushing, New York. I was told there are 19 sites in Flushing, New York alone. The right corner's lower corner is Tainan, when the old lady holding the poster of the truth, see the tourists from China, we call 陆客, 大陆客, how interested they are to go around this lady, try to see the truth. And lady move around, they move around. It's like a small team. And in Taiwan, there are 136 volunteer Tuidang sites in every sightseeing place in Taiwan. In the whole world, there's about more than 400. And those people are volunteer. We have a few volunteers here in this room in Washington, D.C. They help people provide the service, tell them the truth they need to know, and if they choose to cut the tie, then they help them to put the withdrawal statements on the websites. Even though it's a special sceneries of those famous places, it only amounts to 5 to 10% of the people withdraw. The majority, more than 90%, is from mainland China. In every corner of China, you can see during the daytime, in the evening there are more, and during the early in the morning, the resignation is less. So it's the majority, more than 90%, is from mainland China. Okay, from all walk of lives. Next one. Another crisis is the high-rank Communist Party officials and successful businessmen flee the country, leaving the country. Okay, it's not in a small number. It's in the big number. In the center part, I apologize in Chinese, is the Professor Lin from Zhongyang Dangxiao, the Central Communist Party University. She estimates that In 10 years, there are just 180,000 party member and families flee the country with their money. Okay, right now until today, another 10 years, I'm not surprised there are more than 3 million officials, businessmen, their spouse, son, and daughter fleeing to all over the world. And how much money they take with them? About 1 亿元, just in US dollar, it's about 100, just 12 million. I think 12 million US dollar per person they took with them. Okay, the right corner is on upper right corner is per person. Yeah, right upper corner is the newspaper from Beijing City. Then in last year, 2014, the capital city has arrested 354 officials fleeing the country, being blocked, and they blocked down this 36 billion US dollars. They are about to take away with them. So this is the situation. Okay, then when they come to and they send their son and daughters and relatives to all over the world. The first choice is the United States. California is their first choice, San Francisco or Los Angeles area. And they buy houses. They buy $1 million mansion with red brick on the front, with the white marble lions in front, at the front gate. And they buy houses has to worse than $1 million. This is called China House, or the villages, the communities called China Villages. Okay, there are many such China villages, for instance, between Las Vegas and LA, in Route number 5, there are many villages like that. And those China villages in San Francisco, Bay Areas, Northern Virginia, Potomac, okay, New York, New Jersey, Long Island, Washington, D.C., okay, Chicago, everywhere. And they say that, my friends say it's an escape home. They bought a home for the future. By the time they use it, they come. Okay, and in 2013, 2 years ago, the real estate business in California state, a little bit more than half of the houses sold to the rich Chinese people. Okay, and 70% of them buy the house with cash. Okay, and they really blew up the business and make us difficult to buy a house. So the Chinese officials and businessmen spent spent about 28 billion US dollars to buy the house around all over the world, which is about 3% about our GDP. Okay, and which is very common. And those people, most of the officials work in China, either in the central government or local governments. And most of them we call the naked official. Naked official means they are alone there with a suitcase. In the suitcase, there's airplane tickets, open airplane tickets with money, and anytime they will leave. They call it naked potential. Then the parliaments, 人大政协, the parliaments of China in Beijing, 2/3 of the members has foreign passport. They are no longer Chinese citizens. 2/3 of them still serve the legislative functions in China. Okay, and this is a very unique situations indicate that they don't have confidence. The ship is sinking. The captains they jump off the ship. Only the poor people they don't know, or they can't leave. So this is one of the crises fleeing the country. Next one. Another crisis is communists failed to block the information flow, free flow of information. There are two groups of people in China. One is a younger generation live in the city areas. They are moderns. They use smartphone. There is internet. They use computers. It's about 600 million such people. They get information from the internet, or then China has issued this Gold Shield project. Spent about $4 billion to set up the firewall systems. But there are computer geniuses, all of them are Falun Gong practitioners. They invent anti-blockage software and hardware. They call it 破网五剑客. Just this five nights of the anti-blockage softwares. There's Gate, Gardens, Phoenix, 无界, and WordPass. 破网五剑客, 花园, 自由门, 火凤凰, 无界, 世界通. And those are free of charge to Chinese people, actually to everybody in the world, including the Middle East. And Chinese people use those softwares to get on the internet without leaving any trace to the police. So those are knocking the hole on the firewall that Chinese people can learn the outside information. So communists is failing to control their citizens from learning what's happening from the outside. Okay, even though they have 2 million just internet police checking people. Okay, it's like a big army, 2 million such policemen checking on that. But with this 5 heroes, they cannot trace down the people. That's for the younger generation in the city. And the next one, please. And for the older generation, they are not such high tech, live in the rural area or suburban area. They listen to the shortwave radios, and they listen to the satellite TV. They use the wok, okay, kitchen wok. They received satellite message from that. So there's all kinds of international broadcasting station broadcast into China. There was 7 of them. Now they're down to only three of them. And the largest one dominated the sky is Sound of Hope. It's broadcast network stations established by Falun Gong practitioners in San Francisco. So those it's very modern innovations. Everybody has a shortwave radios. It's not like here. In China, people listen to the radios, and communists use your radios to brainwash people. But that one is still fighting the good and evil battles, including the military part. That's the shortwave sky. And that is the part. For instance, take an example of my good friend, the blind activist Chen Guangchen, who is my colleague now at Cass University. He cannot see and he cannot think. He listens to the radios. He listened to such free radios for 4.5 years. That's what he told me, that he understands everything. He's as clear as the Western people. But so the free flow of information to this, and there's about 700 million, together 700, 600, so about 13 to 1.3 billion Chinese people are so fortunate they have one way or the other to listen to the information outside. Okay, next one. Then another one is they mentioned about this. This is the first in 5,000 years Chinese history. The emperor or the leaders or the presidents in the country being sued. Not sued by 1 or 2 people, but sued by legal criminal lawsuit by 200 plaintiffs and families. This never happened in Chinese history. It's such a shameful thing. Even while Jiang Zemin is in power, he was sued. Okay, so and those are the pictures showing that in different part of China, there are posters, the banners showing that bring Jiang Zemin to justice. This is not outside. This is in China. There's and those was this month from northeastern states of China. You can see those banners stop persecution of Falun Gong, bring Jiang Zemin to justice, this kind of everywhere. And the lower left corner was the what people in Asia collect the signatures, as Hugo mentioned about. And just in Asia alone, they collected more than 1 million co-signers that suing Jiang Zemin, support the suing Jiang Zemin. Okay, they just did that last week. And there's a right lower corner is the picture of the city of Kaohsiung in Taiwan, in southern part of Taiwan. The city councils had a bill to support Chinese people for the criminal lawsuit against the human rights perpetrator, Jiang Zemin. That was happened yesterday. So this is another interesting thing that's happening, and it's nonstop. I think one of the messages is that why this was not done in the last 16 years. Why this happened this year? Okay, the persecution has been 16 years long. So this indicates the thinking of the current authority, the regime. Okay, at least at their blessing, at the current region's blessing, they allowed this happen. They told the post office not to stop any the mail package of the file lawsuits. So, and there are more than 100,000 such cases received the returns from the Supreme Court. So it's indicate that there is something Communist Party in China now is not one piece. It's seriously divided. Has a different opinion, strong different opinions. Okay, next one. Another interesting thing is the ecological disaster. This is one of the recent air pollution case. One of the pictures on the left upper corner, this was people use the smartphone to take pictures. One picture is for Tiananmen, another picture is the palace, another one is Wang Fujin, the downtown, another one is a picture of him or herself. You see nothing there. And the lower left corner is, you see there's 5 words, yellow, okay, blinking words, shining in the sky. It's called Guobin Dafan It is actually a building. You cannot see the building. You only see the signs. And people say, we realize the yellow lights is good. So this air pollution is so serious that you can't see anything. You can't see the building. You only see the blinking signs. This is what happened in the north, and what happened in the south is flood. Now, today, we're talking about this big flood, heavy stone rains, things. And one of the things on the lower left corner is there's an interesting young man. It's from southern part of Shenzhen in Guangdong province. He used just a vacuum cleaner in the street of capital city, and vacuum the dust from these air pollutions. And in 100 days, he collect the dust and send to the brick factories to make the dust brick. He's holding that. That brick is from the dust. Okay, in 100 days, that he turned that, make a brick out of the collected particulate matters. Okay, and this brick, you can imagine how serious if you breathe in into your lung, it stay there. This is PM 2.5 micron. Okay, that is water is not clean. They are not to drink or to play with or to use. Air is not clean, and the food is contaminated. Milk, powder milk formula is not trustable. So there was a joke last year. There was I think earlier on this year, there was a marathon contest, the world marathon contest in capital city, Beijing. Thousands of runners running out. I saw the pictures. Most of the foreign runners, they want to win the prize. They put the mask. They put down the mask and run. Okay. And, so it can be very serious. It can be very, very serious. And there are so many jokes there's happening with air pollutions and water pollutions and food poisonings. Okay, next one, this is a crisis. This is basic things. Another crisis is international environments. This is called globalization. Basically, say no to communists or decommunalizations or 退党 movement. For those places without communism, they say no, don't come here. We don't want it. Like Hong Kong, like Taiwan, say no. Just resist. A lot of time is irrational. We just don't want anything with communists. Okay, and the place with the former communist country, they say decommunalizations. Okay, now they want to remove those statues of Lenin, and those rewrite the textbook of modern history, and change the name of the street, of cities, and to destroy those symbols, decommunalizations. This is a global trend. Global trends, I've been to Ukraine and Poland, they passed a law, like Ukraine in the summer passed full law to prohibit communism or symbols or crimes further in the countries. And those more than 10 countries are very active on decommunalizations. In those places, when you say, when they're in those places, if you say communist is evil, and nobody disagree. Everybody understand. But in here, if you say communist is evil, people look at you, see, they don't comprehend that part. Okay. And 退党 movement, not only in China, also in Vietnam, in those communist countries. Okay, there are, earlier this year, there are more than 100 celebrity, top-ranked military general. They openly use real name to quit the party. Okay, and that's things, and also in their society too. So, and in Cambodia, they finally get to judge on the Supreme Court of these red communist leaders and sentence the leaders to 35 years in jail. And this is coming along. Su Ying-jeong is just bring John to justice not only inside China, what happening in international community with hopefully with a UN level, just bring John to justice. Probably that's all. Next one. Next one. Oh, one more. There's a lot of things happening, like umbrella revolution in Hong Kong or sunflower revolution in Taiwan. They have different issue, but the real issue behind them is they don't want communists. They say, no, we don't want it. No matter you are good or bad, we don't want it. So all these things happened, and the United States established memorials, the victims of communism. Canada is establishing one now. It's memorials of victims of communism. And there's a resolutions in the Congress with Senate Resolution 232, House Resolution 416, and there are others. Hopefully they will come along. There are hearings on in CCC on this 退党 movement. So basically, it's I'm very optimistic. I was born and raised in Taiwan, and with nature anti-communist environments. I feel very comfortable in the United States, in the whole world, and also comfortable with Chinese people. It's very, very clear they don't want communists. Okay, that's conclude my work, my remarks. I'm sorry that's okay. I leave it to wait to conclude. See whether Congressman Bilirakis will be here soon.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Nian. While we're waiting for Congressman, do you have any question to our?
I have a question for Rick.
Okay.
You can sit there. Yeah. Just sorry, one question. Yes. Yeah. Can you tell us in layman terms the military power comparison of U.S., LP, just China, Communist China, PLA, and Taiwan? And not only the real power, the weapons, but also the ability to fight.
let's look at the Taiwan Strait first. In 1990, China had large forces, but they were obsolete and in no way prepared to fight a modern war, even for Taiwan, even if Taiwan had declared independence. Attacking Taiwan would have been a suicidal move. That's 1990. In 2014, I was told that if you put together actual military lift and civilian lift, the PLA could transport up to 12 divisions across the Taiwan Strait. That's roughly about 160, 170,000 troops altogether. Given that Taiwan's troops are roughly about the same, that's an amazing change in the balance of power. In 1990, China had no fourth generation fighters. In 2015, that number is in excess of 600 to 700, and on its way to growing to 1,500 by 2020. Invasion is now the principal concern of military planners in Taipei. It's also a word that is used increasingly by officials in Washington. It's a real concern. And for the PLA to have made that much progress since 1990, space of 25 years, is amazing given where they started from. Now, against the United States, the balance is changing very quickly. In 1990, the United States could project power all around the world, projected power straight into Iraq. We can still do all that today, not to the same degree, but we can. What's changing, though, is that China now has the ability to stop us if it wants to. There's a lot of debate over whether it can really, really stop us, whether these new weapons will really, really work. But today, this is a real concern. It is a real threat, whereas 25 years ago, that threat didn't exist. So China is developing capabilities that we are not. China is developing broad capabilities for combat in outer space, low Earth orbit, medium orbits, and on its way to the moon. The United States refuses even to go to the moon. Our president took away that option in 2010. So there is concern on my part, Dr. Nia, that moving into the 2020s, we're going to be without commensurate investments on the American side and by the Taiwanese, by our other Asian allies. There could be enough of an imbalance of power that the regime in Beijing would be tempted to use military force, perhaps not in a massive way, but in a coercive way. And if timed correctly, it could have great effect. It could produce minor victories that could lead to even greater victories. So we are entering a period of real danger. The Americans, I believe our Department of Defense understands that our position is worsening every day. I'm not so sure that our leaders in the White House understand that far greater investments and effort is necessary. The next election is going to be consequential. Whether there is war or continued peace, be it armed peace with China, is one of the major issues that will be determined by this election. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, so could we give all the speakers a round of applause again? Thank you. And also, I would like to appreciate all the people here in this room today. This is a really great opportunity at the International Human Rights Day. We have this wonderful forum talking about the persecution of Falun Gong in China and the deteriorating or the disintegrating of Chinese Communist Party. Okay, thank you everyone, and see you next time. Thank you.